Welcome to LA's Listening Lounge, stories you can hear and words you can feel. Tonight's holiday tale is filled with nostalgia, forgiveness, and a Christmas love no one expected. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Home for Christmas, Love Unexpected. Home for Christmas, Love Unexpected. Chapter 1. Turbulence at 30,000 feet. Nia Brooks tugged at her navy scarf, the fabric soft but slightly scratchy against her neck as she moved down the narrow aisle. Fluorescent lighting washed everything in a sterile glow, but she masked her exhaustion with the well-rehearsed smile that flight attendants wore like armor. Jet fuel lingered faintly in the recycled air, mingling with hints of peppermint gum and wool coats. At 36, divorced and seasoned, Nia was tired of the questions that nipped at her heels. Any plans to try again? The holiday rush was a parade of families, laughter, and the scent of gingerbread cookies clinging to luggage, a world she hovered outside of like a ghost watching through frost-bitten glass. After finagling her schedule, Nia settled into her window seat as a passenger for once, her body yearning to melt into the cold vinyl. She pressed her cheek to the window, letting the vibration of the engines lull her, soft jazz whispering through her headphones, a private cocoon that blocked out the world's demands. Then slicing through the hum, a low familiar voice disturbed her solace. "Wow, Nia Brooks?" She looked up, heartbeat ticking in her ears, bracing herself for disappointment. Instead, she found Marcus Cole looming in the aisle, tall, broad-shouldered, the navy of his tailored coat crisp against the press of his well-defined muscles. He carried the faint aroma of expensive cologne and city swag. His eyes, flickering with surprise and a glint of mischief, crinkled as he grinned. She blinked, twice. "Of all the flights in the world?" Marcus's chuckle was deep and easy, tumbling over the quiet murmur of boarding passengers. "You still roll your eyes the same way?" "And you still talk too much," she replied, her tone edged with ice but not entirely unwarm. Memories surfaced. Childhood afternoons on cracked sidewalks, Marcus's relentless teasing that never felt playful. Not ugly in the silly way, but ugly enough to sting for years. She'd never forgotten. He hoisted a leather duffel overhead with a grace that made Nia notice the strength in his arms. "I'm in 24B, he said, a hopeful lilt in his voice. "Looks like we're traveling together." She offered a tight, practiced smile. "Lucky me." Just then, the plane shuddered with a gentle but insistent bout of turbulence. Plastic cups rattled, seatbelts clinked, and the soft overhead chime sounded, a reminder that fate had its own ideas. Chapter 2. So you're divorced too. The cabin's steady drone became a soundtrack for uncomfortable silence. Tray tables clicked, overhead vents whispered cold air onto knees and necks, and the faint tang of tomato juice mingled with coffee. Nia and Marcus sat like bookends, separated by an armrest and decades of unspoken words, glancing at each other in the reflection of tray table latches, mirrors from the past, unwilling and uncertain. At last, Marcus broke the hush, his voice tentative but sincere. "So, you married?" Nia let out a breath, warm fog ghosting the plastic window. "Divorced, 3 years now." He flinched, the leather of his seat creaking. "Same, 2 years." A quiet understanding settled between them, heavy but not unwelcome. Stories trickled out in careful fragments. Nia spoke of crisscrossing the skies, collecting cities and sunrises but rarely peace. Marcus described conference rooms that all smelled of burnt coffee and stale ambitions, hopping from state to rescue sales teams. 2 lives in motion, never still long enough for love to stick. The overhead lights dimmed as the captain announced descent, and between the flicker of seatbelt signs, Nia nudged the conversation toward home. "You heading home for Christmas?" He groaned, humor lighting his features. "Dreading it. My mom already warned me to be ready for her 'God has somebody special for you' speech." "She's relentless," Nia laughed, her shoulders relaxing for the first time. "My aunt's plotting to introduce me to a deacon with 3 kids and a motorcycle ministry. I think she's already set a date." Marcus burst out laughing, the sound tumbling out rich and real, causing a nearby toddler to giggle in response. For a moment, history faded. Yet beneath the laughter, old tension lingered, a static only time could unravel. Chapter 3. When the oven goes out, a soft jolt signaled their arrival, and the world outside was dusted in snow, the runways sparkling under halogen lights like powdered sugar on gingerbread. Naya and Marcus wove separate paths through baggage claim, swallowed by crowds and the metallic clang of luggage carts. No goodbyes exchanged, just a staying glance and the echo of what if. 2 hours later, the warmth of home enveloped Naya. Her mother's kitchen was a riot of color and sound. Cousins darted between islands of flour and laughter. Cinnamon and nutmeg perfumed the air, and the oven door squeaked with every opening. The heat pressed against her skin, sticky with the promise of Christmas. That's when her phone buzzed, cutting through the commotion. Her mother's voice, a mixture of concern and urgency, called out from the tangle of relatives. "Baby, your Aunt Renee just called. Marcus's mama's oven went out. They can't cook Christmas dinner." Naya froze, a wooden spoon suspended in mid-stir. "Marcus?" Her mother nodded, flour dusting her cheeks like snow. "Same one. They need to bring their food over here to finish cooking." Naya's instinct was a hard no, but the crowd's anticipation lingered in the air. Christmas had its own kind of gravity. She exhaled, letting tradition and the scent of yams and butter do their work. By evening, the front door burst open, letting in a gust of icy air, and the sound of laughter layered over clinking casserole trays. Marcus, his mother, aunts, siblings, all tumbled inside, arms laden with half-baked dishes and stories. Their cheeks were flushed red from the cold, boots squeaking on the linoleum. Their eyes met across the crowded living room, the air thick with spices and teasing anticipation. "You again," Marcus whispered, setting down a pan of candied yams with a short smile. Naya rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. "Looks like it." Family members exchanged knowing glances, sidelong smirks, and whispers that carried above the clang of pots. "Watch them," Naya's cousin whispered. "That tension is electric." Marcus's mother called out, "Be nice, you two. It's Christmas, not Young and the Restless." The chaos was overwhelming, embarrassing, and not entirely unwelcome. Chapter 4. Running into you everywhere. The next day, the world was dipped in frost and possibility. Each errand became a new scene. Target's automatic doors whooshed open to aisles of red and green, the air tinged with hot chocolate from the in-store cafe. Naya reached for a roll of wrapping paper, only to find Marcus's hand there too. They laughed, fingers brushing, the contact sending a spark up her arm. "This town's not big enough, huh?" Marcus teased. She smirked, grabbing a second roll. "Maybe you're following me." At the mall, they crossed paths by the glittering fountain, its spray catching colored lights. Marcus balanced shopping bags, his scarf askew, while his aunt hollered across the food court, "Marcus! Don't lose your wallet again!" He winced, and even Naya couldn't suppress a laugh. At the grocery store, fluorescent lights buzzed and the smell of oranges and pine filled the air. Marcus emerged from behind a pyramid of sweet potatoes, grinning. "Let me guess, last-minute pie rescue?" Their families delighted in their collisions. "Y'all look good standing next to each other," Naya's uncle boomed, slapping Marcus on the back. "Don't act like you don't see it," Marcus's aunt chimed in. "He needs a woman who can handle him." "Don't let him run you off, girl." The teasing was relentless, but the ice between them began to thaw. That evening, as snow dusted the sidewalks, Marcus waited outside the car, holding the door open. The frigid air bit at their cheeks, but his smile was warm. "You laugh easier now," he said, voice low as headlights painted halos in the dark. She hesitated, searching his face, then let herself soften. "People grow up." He nodded, the mood gentle. "Yeah, sometimes it takes a while." Chapter 5. The ice that melted everything. The local ice skating rink was a patchwork of childhood memories, faded murals on the walls, Christmas lights twinkling above, and the sharp, clean bite of cold air laced with the faint scent of popcorn and rubber. Skates. Old-school Motown blared from tinny speakers, filling the echoing space with nostalgia. Naya and Marcus laced up their skates side by side, exchanging sideways glances as laughter echoed around them. She slid her gloves on, feeling the rough wool and the anticipation in her chest. They stepped onto the ice, the surface slick and treacherous beneath their feet. Marcus wobbled instantly, arms windmilling. I never learned how to skate, he confessed, cheeks flushed. Naya arched an eyebrow, grinning. Too busy calling girls ugly? His eyes flickered with regret. I deserved that. He teetered and she instinctively caught his hand. His palm was warm and steady, fingers strong yet gentle, grounding her. For a moment, their laughter faded and all she heard was the swish of blades, the music, the beat of her heart. You have soft brown eyes, Marcus said quietly, vulnerability shimmering in the space between them. She blinked, caught off guard. You're flirting with me? He smiled, softer now. Maybe I've been wanting to for 25 years. Naya laughed, a real unguarded laugh that carried across the ice. The world felt lighter. I like how you make me feel like I matter, she whispered, voice barely above the music. Not rushed, not forgotten. Marcus squeezed her hand, his touch lingering. I like how you make me feel like I finally got it right. Outside, snow began to fall in silent flakes, catching in the glow of street lamps. Once home, Naya sat by her bedroom window, tracing icy patterns on the glass. She watched the snow drift and reflected on the day, the warmth of Marcus's hand, the laughter, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something new. Chapter 6. Christmas morning changes everything. Christmas morning dawned bright and crisp, sunlight glinting off powdery snow that blanketed the porch steps. The world smelled of pine needles and cinnamon rolls, and laughter echoed from the living room as wrapping paper tore and children shrieked. Marcus waited outside, breath rising in clouds, cheeks ruddy from the cold. Naya stepped out, the icy air stinging her lungs and the crunch of snow beneath her boots grounding her in the moment. He met her eyes, nerves flickering across his face. I owe you an apology, Marcus said, voice trembling with sincerity. For who I was, for how I treated you back then. She searched his features, older now, earnest and open. The past felt far away, softened by time and forgiveness. I forgave you a long time ago, she said, her words warm as the scarf around her neck. He swallowed, his breath visible. I think I fell for you yesterday. Naya's heart thudded, and for a moment the world hushed around them. I think I did too, she whispered. He leaned in, hesitant but hopeful, and their lips met, soft, nervous, sweet. The snow fell around them, cold on their skin but warmth blooming everywhere else. Behind the frosted window, their families erupted in cheers, applause, and a chorus of teasing shouts, love and chaos spilling into the morning. Chapter 7. Love that survived the distance. The next 2 years stretched out, a tapestry of departures and reunions, stitched together by longing and laughter. Airports became their second home, the scent of overpriced coffee and the drone of departure announcements a constant backdrop. The ache of missed holidays faded each time they reunited, Marcus at her gate with 2 steaming cups, Naya running into his arms, both a little breathless and a lot relieved. Nights were spent falling asleep with FaceTime calls, glowing screens lighting up dark rooms, the sound of each other's breathing a lullaby. They learned to savor little moments, the warmth of Marcus's hand in hers, the way Naya's laughter filled a room, the hush of snow outside their windows. Love didn't feel rushed now. It felt chosen, built across time zones, with patience and trust and 1,000 tiny gestures. On Christmas Eve, 2 years after their first accidental reunion, the town gathered in the church where stained glass painted the pews with color. The air was thick with candle wax and pine, and the chorus of carols drifted through open doors. Marcus stood at the altar, hands steady. Naya glided down the aisle, radiant. Their eyes met, and neither looked away this time. He only ever saw her as beautiful. Epilogue. Married by Christmas Eve. Snow fell gently, swirling around them as they stepped outside, husband and wife. The street glowed with Christmas lights, laughter from their families spilling down the church steps. The air was cold, but their hearts were wrapped in warmth, home in every sense of the word. Marcus kissed her gloved hand, squeezing gently. Still scared of the "you'll find love again" speech? Naya laughed, breathing a cloud in the winter air. Not anymore. They exchanged a glance, full of shared history, joy, and the sweetness of having found each other right on time. The snow sparkled, and so did their future. Thank you for listening to LA's Listening Lounge. If this Christmas love story warmed your heart, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in second chances. Until next time, may your holidays be bright, your heart be full, and your story continue to unfold beautifully.